John asks, what is the most aggressive scrubber you have? We're dealing with some very grimy glass that is 30 feet high and boar's hair didn't touch it. Okay, grimy, I heard grimy. As soon as I read grimy, I go grimy. Grimy is the problem, right? So let's backtrack. He's got boar's hair and it's not touching it. Boar's hair is a grabber. Yeah, it's a grabber. Nylon bristles are a scratcher. Then you've got blades that cut, and you've got, what's the other one? Scratch, scrape, and grab. Yeah, scratch, scrape, and grab, right? So we've got scrape ones as well. So the reason why, if you go back over the last 50 years, this has basically been scratch and grab, boar's hair being the grab, nylon bristles being the scratch, and boar's hair works this way. A nylon, well, no, let me go back the right way. A nylon bristle is extruded. It means it's made in a straight line through a machine out of plastic, and then when you cut it, you get the end of a bristle. And it's the end of the bristle, the tip of the bristle, that can scratch and, sort of flick dirt off glass, right? Whereas boar's hair looks really rigid when you see it dry, but actually once it's been wet for around 3 minutes, then it has the maximum. It's like our human hair, right? That it uptakes a huge amount of water, and then it becomes very soft. Yeah, like our bed head kind of thing. You have a shower and like you just don't look quite the same as when you brush it up and it's all dry and you're fine, right? So boar's hair, the difference between the tips of the boar's hair are no more effective than the tip of a nylon bristle. What happens is that because a nylon bristle is perfectly round, it has no agitation value. As soon as you get a bristle that is flat on glass, it has no agitation value. It's just going to be rubbing along and doing nothing.
The edge of the bristle is what's...
It's the tip.
The tip, I mean.
Yeah. The tip of the bristle is what makes it work on nylon. But it's the side of a bristle of boar's hair, because boar's hair is natural. And if you imagine, or you look at hair under a telescope, you can see it's got all these little irregularities and everything.
Like fibers, or?
It's kind of like fibers and it splits, or it's got irregularities, and it just doesn't grow perfectly. Yeah. We think it's a piece of hair and it's the same all the way along, but it's not. It's got texture, and it's the side of the bristles grabbing on the glass that give it a friction coefficient, which makes it grab things off glass. So step one, we know that the friction coefficient of boar's hair, assuming that it's an actual boar's hair brush, because about 2 or 3 years ago, boar's hair brushes, long boar's hair is really expensive, right? So you think you've got to buy, when you get a brush that's made by stapling a staple into plastic, right? You get a plastic block and you get some hair and then you staple it into the plastic. That's a normal broom style brush, right? When you've got boar's hair and you want it to be 2 inches long, you have to have boar's hair that's 4 inches long. Actually, you have to have boar's hair that may be 4.5 inches long, because you've got to trim the brush, right? So you get the boar's hair and you grab it like this, you staple it in, and then you trim it at 2 inches roundabout for a boar's hair brush. So to save the money on a boar's hair brush but still sell it as a boar's hair brush, then the idea came that you put the boar's hair in the middle of the brush and you put nylon on the outside of the brush and you call it a boar's hair brush. But if you've got the nylon on the outside of the brush, those are the bristles that are doing this work, and the boar's hair never gets the chance to work like an old boar's hair brush. If you look back in the history of window cleaning and the old days when people had boar's hair brushes, and some of the people still got them, it goes like this, like a brush, exactly like a brush works, right? You don't paint a brush with the tip very often. You usually, make a brush like that, and that's how boar's hair really works, is the edges of the bristles. So you want the bristles to fold and fold and fold, and then they wear out because they're natural fiber, so they break and tear, and then you have to get another one and stuff like that. But that's the history of the boar's hair brush, and how now a boar's hair brush is basically boar's hair on the middle, but it's really not taking advantage of all of the functionality of what boar's hair is meant to be. So he's got a boar's hair brush. I don't know if it's a nylon encased boar's hair brush, but it's not cutting it, whatever it is. And he called the window grimy, right? So it won't grab, and it's grimy, then you would naturally gravitate that he has got hydrocarbons, like oil-based, pollution-based. Maybe he lives beside a highway, or the customer, lives beside a highway, a railway line, a factory, an industrial area, or something like that. So there's pollution going up, which has got hydrocarbons, and it's sticking to the window. And you rub a nylon brush, you'll brush on it, you'll leave little lines. You rub a boar's hair brush, it'll leave little lines. It doesn't come off at all. So the answer to that is, if I remember we're dealing with some very grimy glass that is 30 feet high, and boar's hair didn't touch it. What is the most aggressive scrubber you have? Our most aggressive scrubber for grimy glass that boar's hair doesn't cut it is microfiber, right? Which is our least aggressive scrub.
I have it here.
Martin,
You're welcome.
you make such a good assistant.
There you go, mate.
Thank you, sir. So what you would do, you would use this scrub of all the scrubs, and you would put detergent on it, because detergent is degreaser. Degreaser takes oil and that kind of thing up. So just Dawn is fine. And it doesn't need to be anything like super special. And then you would actually clean the window, and that would break down the hydrocarbons and introduce them into the rinse, and then you'd be fine. And most detergents that we would use as window cleaners don't leave spots. So that would be the answer. The most aggressive scrub we have for grimy windows that boar's hair doesn't touch is microfiber. Right? Now,
Fiber. Can I get it, see what it looks like? Maybe
Yeah.
close to the camera?
yeah, sure.
Zoom in here.
Yeah, that's right, because this is
Yeah.
real, right?
Yeah. We're live. Kind of.
Delete that.
Yeah, we have it. All right.
Great. So that should answer John's question.
Let me show you sharp here.
All of these other scrubs will give you grief,
Bada bing.
right? They all have their place. But that is the answer to that question.